Welcome to the Raw Spotlight podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders in the B2B space and share their unique stories. Let's get started with the show.
I'm Victor Huynh, your host of The Raw Spotlight, a podcast where we feature leaders from B2B businesses and community partners. Join us as they share their innovative strategies and inspiring success stories. Past guests include industry trailblazers and community change makers like Haas Alamir from Alamir CPA and Associates and Martin Gamis from Tax Formulations. So get comfortable, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. Before we start, I have a sponsor message. This episode is brought to you by Ready Artwork, a website-first digital marketing agency dedicated to driving long-term growth for your business. At Ready Artwork, we deliver your website in a foundation. It is the foundation of your digital presence. That's why we lead with our proven 7-step website blueprint, a strategic process designed to deliver high-performing, lead-generating websites. From custom websites and branding to local SEO and paid digital campaigns, we help businesses expand their reach and targeted web-driven strategies. Visit readyartwork.com to see how we can help you unlock your brand's full digital potential. Today, I'm honored to welcome Mei Tang, PharmD, MBA, and a dynamic leader and seasoned expert in the pharmacy industry. Mei's career spans retail, specialty, infusion, and mail-order pharmacies, as well as managed care and pharmacy benefits management, PBM. As the founder and CEO of Two Trees Consulting, Mei guides healthcare companies towards growth and success. She offers expert support in pharmacy accreditation with ACHC, URAC, and NABP, specializing in operational efficiency, business development, infrastructure buildouts, systems implementations, and comprehensive staff training programs. Before launching Two Tree Consulting, Mei served as VP of Operations at Modern Health Specialty Pharmacy, which is now known as Kroger Specialty Pharmacy, where she led specialty pharmacy operations and patient care management. She has also held leadership roles at Optum Rx, Med Impact, Anthem Blue Cross, Express Script, and contributed to pharmacy network management, drug data management, and clinical and operational roles in both hospital and retail settings. Mei holds a PharmD from University of Colorado, an MBA from the University of California, Irvine, and is a proud graduate of Wayne State University College of Pharmacy. Beyond her professional endeavors, Mei is passionate about longevity, women's health, hiking the San Gabriel Mountains, practicing yoga, and exploring new experiences through reading and travel. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome Mei. And Mei, thank you to come to our show.
Hi, Victor. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it. Mei, to kick things off, can you introduce yourself and tell us about Two Trees Consulting, the work you do? And I also hear there's an interesting story about the name. Maybe tell us about that.
Great. Well, I am a proud mother of two. My two children are both in college. My daughter, Karis Tang, is in UC Berkeley studying data science and psychology, and my son is going to start his first day at UC San Diego, majoring in biotechnology and bioengineering. So I started my company, and the name is Two Trees Consulting. It really resonated with me about synergy, and synergy is when the sum is greater than its parts by Stephen Covey. So two trees is an analogy, and I'm Chinese, and we have symbol. If you have one tree, that's just one tree. If you have two trees, is symbolizing of a group of trees. But then if you have three trees, is a forest. So for me, it's just a symbol of, but two is better than one, and multiple is better than one. And then underneath the trees, every tree is connected. There's these worldwide, connection. So it's called World Wide Web. So www is different than your URL. So I thought that was a really good symbolic meaning behind Two Trees Consulting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome. And also know some Chinese characters. I understand what you're saying, where it's I believe it's tree, forest, and then big forest, right? Or it's a Chinese characters where you're just
Yes,
adding more trees. It's pretty
yes.
cool. Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
So, can you share any like defining moments that inspired you to establish Two Trees Consulting?
Yeah. So about 12 years ago, my children were young. They were about 6 and 8. I was laid off by my previous employer, and at the time, it was a big defeat. But I also understand at that point, I was gone for 12 hours a day as a vice president of pharmacy operations. And I couldn't, when I was at work, I worry about my kids. When I'm at home, I thought about work. So I couldn't be the best either at work or at home. So I was absolutely lost of balance. So at the time, it was a big deal. And I had a really hard time with the loss of my job and loss of my ego or identity. However, that was the turning point for me to think about what can I do to have better control of my time and also my knowledge and experience. So I thought I will give it a try with my MBA training, even though in pharmacy school, the first elective class that I crossed out was small business. And here I am. And that just goes, never say no to anything. Always give yourself the opportunity to do something that you have never done.
Right, right. That's awesome. So, can you walk us through the typical accreditation process for pharmacies and how Two Trees Consulting supports clients through that? Now that it's been a long time since that one switch, right? You can kind of say it's a blessing in disguise, to get to where we are today. But yeah, walk us through. I mean, we have a pretty broad audience, right? And not everyone knows what even is accreditation for pharmacies, right? And then give us like a simplified version of what that looks like, and then how you support clients.
Great. Now, when we think about pharmacy, you think about CVS and Walgreens, and you walk in, it's very transactional. You give a prescription and then you get your drug and you pay for the medication. Now, where we specialized are in those areas that require high touch, meaning patient engagement, education, as well as the medication storage and handling process. And this area is called the specialty pharmacies, and typically you will receive medications through your mail. And pharmacy is a highly regulated industry. So we have not only federal and state laws and regulations, and we have a lot of policy and procedure. And the goal is to make sure that patient quality of care and the safety of patient is the foremost important priorities for pharmacy. So from that end, we have, in order for specialty pharmacies to really demonstrate their quality, they have to go through accreditation. So typical accreditation process involve initially we'll do a mock survey. So we identify any gaps in their current processes, and we help them strengthen their policies and procedures and documentations as well as operations. And when you think about pharmacies and you think about drug, but there are claim system that we have to process claims, and then IT infrastructure to ensure security of patient information, and then also hiring the right people, because the work can only be as good as the people performing those tasks. So there are vigorous training and competency and performance that we have to ensure the pharmacists are and pharmacy staff are performing at. So when you look at a typical accreditation process, it's about 8 to 12 months process, and looking at every aspect and starting with developing policies and procedures, implementation, training, and going through the survey itself with accreditation organizations such as ACHC and URAC. So today we actually just helped a client going through their first ever accreditation. They came to us and say, we need help and we need to have accreditation in under 3 months. And they want to get it done by September 30th. And we said, well, we can do it, but this is what's required. The good news is it's a lot of work, but the client had zero deficiency, meaning they will get accredited. And this is a 33 working day effort. And that's a record, even for us with 100% score. So we're really proud of what our customers are able to achieve. And we build a trusting relationship and partnership through the accreditation process. So it's a not easy process, and it touches every aspect of pharmacy business.
Forgive me, I'm going to ask some maybe ignorant questions. Obviously, I'm not in the pharmacy world, but is accreditation required for anyone that starts a pharmacy? And your customers, what is the thing that triggers them to come look for you, right? Is it a letter from someone saying, hey, you're not qualified? Why do people need accreditation?
Yeah, great question. So typically in retail pharmacies, unless you are billing durable medical equipment, which if you're billing Medicare, they will require pharmacy to have DME accreditation, durable medical equipment. For typical retail pharmacies, they are not required to acquire specialty pharmacy accreditation. And the driver behind it are twofold. One is payer. So if you're billing pharmacy benefit manager, and oftentimes they will require you to have accreditation to be enrolled in their network. And two is by manufacturer. If you want to access limited distribution medications, you will have to have accreditation demonstrating your competency or capability for patient management and product safety.
I see. So if they want to access certain types of drugs to distribute, or if they're trying to get certain types of customers to expand their business, and that's when they go, okay, I need accreditation so I can expand either my distribution ability or my customer base.
That's correct. So typically we're looking at medications that are high touch, require frequent touch point with patient, and they're very expensive. So you want to make sure your distribution process in that channel is going to ensure the medication safety, right? So if you're shipping medications, and these medications typically will require to be refrigerated. So you have to make sure the shipping journey up to, let's say, 36 hours, the medication is going to be stored in a refrigerated condition. So yeah, it's a very unique niche market. However, let's just say you probably heard of Truvada. You probably heard of okay, I'm drawing a blank on TV. So a lot of the oncology products and rheumatoid arthritis and Skyrizi and irritable bowel diseases, and so many of these medications will require those disease states will require these medications require high touch. Infused either at a clinic or self-infused injectable, but require a high level of education, training, handling.
That makes sense. Okay, that's cool. So those customers that come to you, or those clients that come to you, what are the most common hurdles you've seen pharmacies face during accreditation, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
Yeah, so people don't know what they don't know until they start doing it, right? So they look at compliance and say, oh, I have to do this, and it's a cost. However, when we dig in, people realize, wow, this is actually really needed for us to build the foundation in order to scale and in order to stay compliant. The risk for not staying compliant is unimaginable.
Yeah.
Not only could result in patient harm, but also violation of state and regulatory requirement. So once we dig into a little bit more, they realize that is the aspect they haven't thought about and much needed. So we're able to build that ongoing programs to ensure they are staying compliant, they are looking at their quality and performance. So I think that is the biggest takeaway from a compliance standpoint. If it's not documented, it didn't happen, even though you educated patient, hey, this is how you take medication. But if it's not documented in the patient records, it never happened. So that is the biggest kind of, oh, I need to document this, I need to document that. So we provide the framework and templates for them to how to document these interactions.
I see. So they're essentially not as organized as they need to be in their processes.
Yeah, it's a pharmacy. When you walk into a pharmacy, they're always busy. They're on the phone, they're dispensing, they're checking for drug interactions. But what is lacking is documenting each encounter, documenting what they have discussed with patient on the medication. So these are the key elements that we are helping pharmacies to build strong documentation process, and we make it simple. So instead of documenting paragraphs and what's essential. So we teach them how to document and what to document, when to document.
I see. Awesome. So I know you also work on efficiency, right? So how do you approach optimizing operational efficiency for your clients?
Yeah, great question. So as pharmacists, we are trained on pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, and we don't really get trained on process. So like Lean Six Sigma, any operations efficiencies. So sometimes when we look at a process and when we go back and forth, for example, verifying patients' eligibility, checking prior authorization, getting patient financial assistance before engaging the patient, it's really key. So how do we minimize, patient calling before even dispensing the medication, because it would impact patient experience? Is how do we bundle the information and have that conversation very effectively? So preparing the process and making sure we have everything ready before we call the patient. And then what do we need to do to make sure that patient gets the coordination of care? Many of these require nursing and scheduling nursing. So we do all of these behind the scene to reduce back and forth. We look at the process and streamline that process. So there is a metric that we measure in specialty pharmacy is turnaround time. So from the time that we receive a prescription to the time that patient pick up the prescription or pharmacy delivers the medication, we measure that turnaround time and to make sure that it's as fast as it can be, usually 1 to 2 days turnaround time, so that patient can access the medication that they need. So that is one thing that we look at and measure, and then we report the data. We continue to look at processes where there might be a roadblock or a speed limiting step where we can improve and help the pharmacies troubleshoot those areas.
Awesome. So it's not just about accreditation then. You're also getting into operational efficiency, right? And my next question is kind of related to that as well. So what are key factors that drive sustainable growth in a pharmacy space today?
So for pharmacy, getting accredited is just a starting point. So using that accreditation, be able to really advocate for the pharmacy capability and competency and reach out to local referrals and providers and let them know you are in the community, you are here to service their patient. grow that business and also stay on top of technology, be adaptable. So there is recently I attended a conference. There are two takeaways. One is AI. One is
Mm-hmm.
AIC. So AI is artificial intelligence. I'm surprised to see some of the pharmacies not only heard about AI, but embracing AI. So I think this is where we as a pharmacy, either managers or leaders, is to embrace what's coming our way and utilize technology to improve patient safety, to improve your operations efficiencies and embrace it. And the other one is AIC, so ambulatory infusion centers. And COVID on the all the negative impact, but there's something positive is to embrace telehealth and embrace shifting away from going into the hospital, but having more local presence for infusion centers. So pharmacies have a lot of opportunities to be involved in their local communities and providing that kind of support for infusion, either at patient's home or at an infusion center. So I'm really excited to see those growth and for pharmacies really advocate for the provider status and be able to broaden our services and embrace technology.
Awesome. Awesome. Two things, right? AI, you mentioned, we're also looking at how to utilize AI, not only in the marketing side, that's pretty straightforward. Everyone knows that's impacted right away, but for operational, things. And it's interesting how it's also being discussed in every industry across the board. And the other one is I also went to our local pharmacy over here at Vaughn's and got my COVID shot. So it's kind of interesting to see how all this is now becoming normal coming out of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, pharmacists are accessible. And we are in every corner pretty much. It's really advocating for our profession and be able to say we are capable and competent to take care of patients in capacities that beyond what traditional pharmacists have been practicing, and we're fully capable and trained to do that.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. I know you mentioned leadership, right? What leadership principles guide your work, especially when leading large teams? I know you've come from a huge team, or your client projects. Some of them have a lot of people. So, what are some of those principles that you employ when you work with a large group of people?
Yeah, so leadership to me is not only walk the talk and be able to lead by example. But as I grow in my profession and in my career, it's not about making myself look good. It's about helping others look good and gain the skill sets they need. And really, if it's something that is a successful story, credit my team members for doing the awesome job. But if something didn't go well, then take the accountability. So owning that process and really build a trusting environment for learning and growth. And that's what I am really passionate about. I will hold my team accountable, but I hold myself accountable more than anyone else. So I hold myself accountable first. And also fostering a trusting environment. So only with trust that we can be open to listen and to grow, and be compassionate. Just because I have a good day doesn't mean other people are struggling or not struggling. So really be compassionate and be empathetic,
Mm-hmm.
and building trust.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Those are great. So, for what advice would you give to emerging pharmacy leaders or healthcare entrepreneurs looking to carve their own path in this industry?
Yeah, so I encourage everyone to just be open to any opportunities come their way And sometimes you just have to dig it deeper and don't look at things on the superficial level and really learn. So I think everybody, most people want to share their knowledge and most people will give free advice. It's up to the individual to take the opportunity to learn. And I also precept pharmacist students through my rotation pharmacies, and I see differences in students coming through, and some are just so hungry to learn and some are just getting their diploma. But I can see those people who are willing to learn, who are taking advantage of having access to people who have been in the industry for many years, and they're going to grow, they're going to succeed beyond what they can imagine. So I really think for younger generation, be open to learn, find a mentor who is willing to invest in them. It's key in this industry or in any kind of industry.
Right. So you mentioned mentors. Do you have any mentors you would like to mention? Maybe give them a shout out. We can kind of let them know as well on LinkedIn or something.
Great. So I recently joined a Vistage group, and I felt I was on my own, doing business and trying to strategize and trying to understand everything. Until I joined the Vistage, and my chair Alon, he's wonderful. Not only he shared with me his business entrepreneurship experience, but he's teaching me about becoming a better business leader. I have business presence, but continue to cement my leadership and hire the right people and looking at strategy. So I am giving him a shout out. And then also my one person I also want to call out is Glenn Perry, who was my manager, and he retired recently. He took a chance on me. I had no experience coming from retail and going into the business side. He must have seen something in me and gave me the chance to pivot into a business role. And that was a pivotal moment. So I really appreciate he giving me the opportunity. And in life, there's always the first time when someone recognizes something in you and give you the chance. That person is something that you should be always grateful and thankful for. So Glenn is that person for me.
Awesome. Okay. Glenn, Alan, great. Okay, so let's, in your intro, you mentioned, some of your passions like women's health and personal balance, right? Can you tell us more about your passion for women's health and longevity and how it ties into your personal and professional life?
Yes. So I mentioned that I was laid off about 12 years ago, and I got into yoga. I think that was my safety and that was my sanctuary. So I was able to tune in and find myself through that process. And I've been practicing since then. And I also got yoga teacher certification just to deepen my practice in this area. So I have found great benefit. And then also as a pharmacist and involved in compounding and HRT hormone replacement therapy, I know women's health have been behind, and most of the studies are based on men's, health and the study outcome. So I'm really happy to see there are a lot of awareness in these areas, And so I think mental health, physical health, diet and exercise, they all go hand in hand. And when I think maybe it's just to, as a women, we tend to bond. We tend to have a strong community, and that is a really good benefit. So, in terms of on a personal level, I want to keep it balanced. I want to not only have enough time for work, and that's just a given, but have enough time to spend with my family and focus on my own health and then have a strong community. So I reach out and I'm the person that who rally and say, hey, can we get together next week? Or can we see each other for this event or that event? So I think it's really important. Now, it doesn't mean to always have a balance that everything is in perfect harmony. There are times that I just spend more time on work, and I know the self-awareness and being able to know, okay, I'm spending way too much time, and I need to carve out time for my, personal time is important. So knowing that balance is not always 100% at all time, but being aware and being intentional about how you allocate your time.
I see. That's amazing. So, as a fellow business owner, right? We all know running and owning a business is super demanding. You talked a lot about balance. Can you share maybe some tips on how you maintain balance between work and personal?
Yeah, so I think finding what works for you, and Danielle Pink has a book called When. So basically outline for, in general, what would be the best time to exercise and what would be the best time to even taking a nap. For me, it's really understand myself and what works for me. So I know the day could easily get away from us, and there are expected and there's the unexpected meetings and things that you have to attend. So carve out in the morning to dedicate to exercise, to do your journaling. It's key. It doesn't have to be a 2 hour session. It can be 30 minutes, and do the walk. If you have meetings, if you have 10 minutes in between the meeting, I usually just walk around my neighborhood. So I think it's finding when that works best for you to do certain activities. And then for the night time, I usually just know my battery, my energy is so low, and that those are the time that I would just do typical kind of really doesn't require a lot of brain power to do running errands and, grocery shopping. So I think it's just a matter of finding the time and what works for you.
Great. That's great. So I have one last question, but before I ask it, I want to point people to your website. Is it two trees and number two and then treesconsulting.com?
That is correct.
Okay, so twotreesconsulting.com. Okay, so the last question, I know we talked a little bit about AI. So what is your favorite tool or software that you find essential in your day-to-day work? What's your favorite one?
So I use a lot of ChatGPT. I think it's a huge productivity tool. So before, I would spend a lot of time wordsmith my ideas, and now I just run it through ChatGPT and ask to polish it, and you give the command. So I found it a daily essential. Now, sometimes it comes out very, very well polished, and sometimes it doesn't get it all right. So you do have to put a level of screening and monitoring before it hit the send button. But I use that quite a bit. Also, the note taker with embedded, like Zoom has a AI companion. They're super helpful. Every day I have so many meetings, and I spend 1 hour on meetings and 30 minutes on follow up. And with the companion AI tool note takers, that can significantly cut down the time. And now I just spend 5 minutes because I have the notes already. So yeah, those are really, really helpful. Oh, the other one that I recently used is called Pronounce. So because I wasn't English is not my first language, so I have to learn how to speak in get rid of my accent. And I don't know if I could ever, but pronounce actually, I can speak to it. It will tell me where I didn't pronounce correctly, and it will give me the version in comparison between what would be a typical US born person speak English and how I spoke it so I can learn. So I found that super helpful.
It's cool. I'd never heard of that tool before. Pronounce.
Yes.
Yeah, you touched on something pretty interesting, and it's a huge topic in our industry when it comes to marketing, right? Everyone knows like search and SEO, everyone types certain keywords, but we're seeing a big shift in user behavior, or people are using ChatGPT or similar platforms to do research and to help them with, productivity type of tools. And where now the average search used to be 1 to 3 keyword long. Now it's over 25 words. So people
Mm.
are asking like full on conversations, and there's a big shift in the whole industry. So it's really interesting seeing more and more people starting to rely on that, as a productivity tool. But at the same time, there's a little bit of crossover with Google searches. So we're seeing a lot of traction on that as well.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see that. And I think people are starting to embrace that more. And in recent conference, and when we were talking about something and everyone is using ChatGPT and say, this is our, answer. And people are embracing it. And I think it's a tool that is continuing to learn and they learn on a much faster speed. So I'm really excited about AI. And the challenge is how do we move with the technology and make sure that we don't ultimately get replaced. And for pharmacists, really understanding where AI can help and where we can focus and develop so that we can spend more time on clinical aspect and AI will never replace the interpersonal relationship and the conversation. So I think that is something that we want to hone in and make sure our skills do not get replaced by technology.
Right, right. I think one thing you mentioned at the very beginning of today's episode, that really speaks to that is you don't know what you don't know. And so if, like what you do and what we do, as someone that's not in the industry or not in pharmacy, they wouldn't even know the right questions to ask, right? So a pharmacist that is looking for accreditation, they really wouldn't know the right questions to ask AI tools to be able to walk them through this whole process. They still need that expertise. And I think that's where the evolution is going to happen for people like you and I, where we become the people that know the right questions to ask. And that's where the value is. There's going to be a lot less billables when it comes to just monotonous work, right? The copy and paste kind of stuff. But where the value is going to be is like, okay, we're the ones that know the types of questions to know how to leverage AI. So I always tell our clients, we use AI, we embrace it, but the value isn't about the using the AI piece. It's we know how to use it and how to leverage it to bring more value to our clients, right? So, I see a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, absolutely. So AI can give you a very good answer and it's a generic, right? So it won't be customized to your specific needs and
Right.
settings. To have the human element and to be able to QA to ensure that the quality is good and it's applicable. So I think, for you and I, how does it differentiate from them using AI versus
Mhm.
us using AI is
Right.
that extra knowledge and expertise.
Right. Well, May, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey today. Your expertise, your passion for advancing pharmacy operations and women's health. Your story is truly inspiring. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Raw Spotlight. Stay tuned for more conversations with leaders who are shaping the future of their industries and making meaningful contributions to their communities. May, where can people get a hold of you? Are you active on LinkedIn or social media?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn and
Okay.
can look me up. I'm Mei Tang PharmD
Mhm.
MBA. I am on Instagram, so
Mhm.
MTANG 7226.
Okay.
So looking forward to connecting with everyone. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm excited for future conversations, and we're just a starting point.
Of course. We'll be happy to have you back on our show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Raw Spotlight podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.